New troubles for Letitia James, everyone. Gosh, this woman, she just is so wrong in so many different ways. I can't even begin. She's incredibly stupid, and she's incredibly sort of self-inflated in her ego because she somehow thought it was worth going after Donald Trump for alleged mortgage fraud. And she got this judge to go along with her, right, to the tune of, $500 million, $500 million that he now owes for a case that never should have come and will be kicked out of the appellate court. But, like we say, those in glass houses should not throw stones because she is being hit with very similar but far worse charges all on her own. I want to get to those and how she may have to sell her assets just to cover her legal bills. But before I do, Roger Stone is at it again. Roger Stone put out a big piece on how Letitia ignored the duties of her job in favor of going after Donald Trump. So Donald Trump put this out as well, and he wrote about her, a sick and horrible woman who also happens to be grossly incompetent. Now, the reason this Roger Stone piece is kind of a big deal is because it would lead credence to the concern that she is not able to do her job. She is so blinded by TDS that she can't actually get anything done. And in this case, it was kind of important because there was apparently whistleblower evidence of corporate corruption related to suppressing life-saving gene therapy drugs for sickle cell disease patients. And according to Roger Stone, this was published in Gateway Pundit, Letitia James was alerted, actually, oddly, by Luigi Mangione about a conspiracy involving pharmaceutical companies, but she chose to prioritize her legal case against Donald Trump instead of investigating the claims. Stone is saying that, this demonstrates that James had a certain kind of negligence towards people, including Black people who tend to suffer more from sickle cell, and it contributes to her being, quote, one of the most corrupt elected officials in American history. This is just another layer of trouble, if you would, for one Letitia James, who is being investigated. It has been confirmed by the FBI, Kash Patel confirming that investigation. As I told you, the grand jury has already begun sending out subpoenas in the case of one Attorney General Letitia James for alleged mortgage fraud. And this carries with it up to 30 years in prison. So this is like a really big freaking deal. This is bigger than the LaMonica stuff. 18 USC 1014, false statements to obtain a federally insured loan, false statements to the government. She's going to be in a lot of trouble as a result of this, ladies and gentlemen. Those FHA loans that she got, don't forget, for that house in Norfolk, Virginia, in 2023, she signed this mortgage document and she said that it was going to be her primary residence. Well, you can't do that. And so therefore that was a lie. And if you lie on an FHA loan application, it's a primary, saying it's a primary residence when it's actually a secondary. That is a federal offense. And the FHA does require that the property owner live there in the property at least during the first 60 days after closing. But, that didn't happen. Here is the mortgage documentation that she signed claiming that this was her principal residence. If you see, again, if you're listening on the Spotify podcast, yay, please do that, guys. I'd love it if you just go over there and you don't even have to listen. Just subscribe and give me 5 stars, okay? Because it really helps the algorithm. Anyway, I'm on Spotify as well. But go over there and you can see, if you're listening to the audio version of this, what we're showing is a version of the actual document that she signed. And in it, you see circled in red that this was her principal residence, this little house in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay, so if this house is your principal residence, then you need to live there. You can't be the attorney general in the state of New York. You would actually need to live there. And if you're not living there, then that is what you would call, well, I'm just going to say it, lying on a federal loan application. And that carries with it up to 30 years in prison.
I will respond to these baseless allegations at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way. But I am 100% confident that it will not result in any criminal indictment or action against me, and that it is nothing more than a revenge tour, and that Donald Trump just ultimately got to the J's, and I was next.
The key allegation, again, it sounds like you don't want to address them here, but I'm just going to put it out so people understand that a property that was owned in Virginia, a mortgage that you signed, if I'm not mistaken, for that property, that they say you falsely represented yourself as a resident of Virginia, and that was essentially amounts to mortgage fraud since you're a resident of New York. What is your response to that?
It's baseless. Everybody knows I'm a resident of New York, specifically Brooklyn. And again, we will respond at the appropriate time in the appropriate way to these baseless allegations. And some media outlets like the Daily News over the weekend has indicated as much.
That's all you want to say?
That's all that I'm going to say.
Okay, well, she said that it's not going to result in anything, and I would just remind her that it has actually resulted in a grand jury issuing subpoenas there in the Eastern District of Virginia, and it has resulted in an FBI investigation confirmed by Kash Patel less than 24 hours ago. And of course, she's saying there's no way. I mean, everybody knows that I live in New York. So again, Letitia, why the heck did you say this was your primary residence in Virginia? Okay, girl, like this doesn't add up. Oh, and we haven't even gotten into the brownstone, right? That has 5 levels, but you get a special federal loan if you say you have 4. So she said she had 4. And then there was the daddy thing, right? She's suddenly daddy's wife in an old mortgage that they applied for years ago. I mean, there's a history of trouble there, ladies and gentlemen. And I guess what strikes me as most amazing here is that it's kind of poetic. I mean, here she is in real trouble because she took advantage of taxpayer-backed money to get herself a better mortgage rate when her entire case was predicated upon Donald Trump trying to do the same thing. But she's too stupid to understand that it was a private transaction between a bank and an individual. And therefore, you didn't have taxpayers that were on the hook like they were with her. You just had Deutsche Bank that was on the hook. So when this went to the appellate court, the judge highlighted this loud and clear. I want you to listen.
It was using...
I'm sorry, but what's being described sounds an awful lot like a potential commercial dispute between private actors.
Well, to go back to the first question about whether there's other examples of this, there are other examples of this. In the First American case, the Attorney General brought a 6312 case where the transaction at issue was between a very big bank, Wells Fargo, and a professional appraisal firm.
But it wasn't the concern there that the public would ultimately be negatively impacted and affected by what those corporate actors were doing.
And that concern is here as well, because when you have hidden risks getting injected.
She's trying to somehow say that this one transaction, by the way, which everybody got paid back for, and Deutsche Bank said they do it again, that this one transaction is somehow the same as the federal transaction. You see, the initial case that Letitia brought against Donald Trump was so fundamentally flawed, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, maybe she knew exactly what she was doing when she signed on in 2023 and told them it was her principal residence when she was the Attorney General of the state of New York. Maybe she knew that, and so she was looking for these mortgage fraud things, maybe because she had actually done them herself. But here's the thing, poor Letitia. Tissue baby's out of money, because you know what? New York is not having it. You got the GOP in New York saying, no way. We're not going to allow you to use the $10 million slush fund from taxpayers to fight your own personal stuff. I mean, this is a personal mortgage for a house all the way over in Virginia. This is your problem, girl, right? Why are we going to take on this? And so if she doesn't have the money, if she doesn't have the money to pay her high-priced Hunter Biden, Abby Lowell attorney, then, gosh darn it, might she have to sell some assets? Tish James, are you going to have to actually sell your assets like that house in Virginia in order to cover your legal costs?
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Well, now they may just have to seize yours, Letitia. Kind of funny how that works. I'm telling you, this woman's got huge problems ahead, just huge, huge problems. And so I would just say they're all justified. Absolutely every single one of them, because we don't need attorney generals like Letitia James in this country that are making life an enormous hell, that are trying to bankrupt people because they don't agree with their political positions. You know darn well, and I don't need to play the clips again, but too pale, too male, too stale. Remember that little chant that she had going? She hated Donald Trump from the beginning. She was looking for something to get him with from the beginning. She campaigned on it, even though she said she didn't. We got all the tape. There's this little thing called the internet, Tishy baby, and it's found you. Balance in Nature, one of our great sponsors here on the program. I want to remind you, if you want to take your fruits and veggies like I do, or any other kind of vitamin, they got all kinds of good stuff. You should go check it out. You can get 35% off with my code word. Just use my code word, Trish. There's an R in that. No dish. Trish. Trisha is actually my legal name. So go check it out. Trish at balanceofnature.com. You can call them at 1-800-246-8751. 1-800-246-8751. 35% off, free shipping, total money back guarantee. So no harm, no foul. Go give it a shot.